Hi, this is Andy from Reclaim Men's Clinic in St. Louis, Missouri. We're here today with Glenn, and we're going to ask Glenn a few questions about his services he's received at Reclaim Men's Clinic. So Glenn, what was the problem you were having before you discovered our services?
On March 1st, 2019, a 25-year relationship ended in one sentence. It was quite a shock. I just happened to be standing in front of my bedroom mirror when that happened. I turned and looked at myself up and down and it said, "You got to fix this." And I decided I needed to get in better shape. So a few weeks later, I ran into a friend who was on the keto diet, told me about that. I decided to give it a try. In 3 months, I lost over 60 pounds and was feeling pretty good about myself. I was on the right path. But then I looked in that same mirror and discovered I had man boobs and decided that was not acceptable. So I joined a gym, hired a trainer, started working out, and I was very pleased with how things were going, yet I seemed to be stuck on a plateau. So went to the resort one weekend and ran into you, and was shocked to see how well developed little Andy was. We began that conversation about what you do about Reclaim Men's Clinic, and I decided I wanted to give it a try. My initial thought was, what's it hurt to get initial lab tests done to see what might help. And the result of those lab tests were that testosterone therapy may help me, and I decided to do that. The idea of giving myself injections was very intimidating to begin with. A few weeks after getting it, though, I realized that you don't really even feel it. It's just that fear of sticking yourself with a needle. The ED was never necessarily a problem for me. Finishing was more difficult than getting started. What I got from the testosterone therapy that blew me away was the energy, which to this day is boundless. My other half and I have been remodeling our house for 18 months, and we would work 8 or 9 hours on that house, lifting and tugging and up and down ladders and things. And at the end of the day, instead of wanting to crash on the couch, I wanted to know what we're going to do for the evening. We're going to go out, we're going to have dinner, what are we going to do? And that got me hooked on testosterone injections. And the one concern about that my doctor had was if my testosterone level gets too high, it could potentially be an issue. And said, make sure you're tested frequently, and Reclaim Men's Clinic does that, and we know that everything's in good shape.
I have another question for you. So what did the frustration feel like as you tried to solve that problem?
In many aspects of my life, I'm a very self-confident man, but having let my body go for so long, I'd lost that self-confidence. Certainly, and in living in a passionless relationship for 25 years, I had virtually no sexual self-confidence. So even though I've been out 42 years, I'm like a little kid just learning all over again.
I know that you haven't visited other men's clinics before, but in your experience of what other people were saying, what would you say is the difference about our services versus other men's clinics?
I think the most important thing for me is one-on-one service, being able to have a conversation with you anytime I want to. It's not some big corporation that I have to go through 5 people to get to the person that I want to get an answer to a question. That's really important.
If you would, just take a moment and tell us, when you realized that testosterone replacement therapy and also the P-shot, we're going to talk about that you had the P-shot as well, what those two things were actually doing to solve your problem.
Well, again, I go back to the issue about having the boundless energy. To work out, to play, those are so important to me. And I don't know what else I can say to that issue.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Right, absolutely. Additionally, you also had a P-shot, the Pride shot. Some time ago. Let's see, I think it was about maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago you had your injection. And tell us about some of the results that you're experiencing from that.
My goal with that was to increase sensation, because that's what I realized was the problem that would allow me to start sex and not finish it. There just wasn't enough sensation. That is why I wanted to have a P-shot. I didn't know about penis enlargement. That was a bit of a surprise to hear that part of the story. I can say within 3 or 4 days, sensation began to improve. That was quite surprising. the enlargement point, that's just kind of fun. What guy does? I've never lacked confidence in myself, but what guy doesn't mind having more to show? And that's been a bit of a shock, frankly, how well that's working.
That's perfect, and I think part of that, the results that you're getting is that you're following the what we call penis rehab, the regimen.
Yes.
Afterwards, so ideally, you pump, use the penis pump as a medical grade penis pump twice a day for about 10 minutes at a time.
Yes.
And that helps the PRP to work better. So that is definitely a very important part of the P shot, the penis rehab. And so, now that you're keeping up with that, I think you're continuing to get really good results.
I think so. What it says in the brochure is after 6 months, you'll probably be shocked at the results. Again, that was not a goal, but it's certainly a perk. There's no discomfort in using that. And it's actually been, I think, 6 weeks, but I can see a difference. There's a little sticker on the tube that identifies the size of the tube, and I've watched myself get closer and closer to the top of that little sticker, so it's exciting.
So there's physical evidence that your penis is actually getting longer and more girth.
I would tell people the first thing you experience is more girth.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost instantaneous. The length comes after a few weeks, and I've used it at least once every day. There have been days I haven't been able to do it twice because of time restrictions.
Sure, people have busy
I
schedules.
intend to keep with it.
Absolutely, people have busy schedules and they can't always keep up with it, but ideally twice a day for 10 minutes at a time. We like people to do it for at least 5 weeks after getting the P shot, but ideally if you could use it daily forever, that would be ideal. That's
basically my intention.
Perfect. And if you can think back to when we did the P shot, can you tell us a little bit about the experience? In other words, the big question on guys' minds are, how bad does it hurt? Because most guys, when you talk about coming at them, at their penis, with a needle, they usually freak out. So what was your experience?
I had the same reservations, the same tension, but already with the success with testosterone injections with you, I had complete confidence in Reclaim Men's Clinic and decided I'm going for it. Now, literally, it's kind of like my description of the injections. There wasn't much sensation to it. It's just the intimidation factor. So take a deep breath, and I can tell you the other side of it. The results make it well worth the little bit of discomfort for a few minutes.
Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst pain ever, what rating would you give the actual injections of the P shot?
2.
Good. I have one more question for you. So tell us what life looks like now that we've helped to resolve some of these problems.
Well, there are many factors that have changed in my life in the last 3 years, but I tell people I'm living the best chapter of my life right now. I don't think it could be any better. It's the old, you literally live with that fear of when does this end, because we all know life is a roller coaster. But
good. It's great to hear that you're having great results with both testosterone replacement therapy and with the P shot.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I recommend it to anyone. And get past the fear.
Awesome.